So, Niamh Marshall, thanks for being the first ever person on the Cloud and Fire podcast. Um,
Oh
this is
no,
like,
that was the name.
yeah, Cloud and Fire. Yeah, I kind of went with that. It was like, I love the sounds, it's a wee bit mysterious, and yeah, I love the story and the Bible
Edgy.
about it. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, here, first time for everything. So, listen, thanks for being the first person. And I thought we'd kind of start with some really quick fire questions. So, tea or coffee?
Fluffy. Uh,
Coffee. I know you're big into the coffee. What brand though? Are you like a Nero or a Costa?
See, since we got our coffee machine, we don't actually take coffee out anymore
Oh, so you're
because
right. Okay.
well, we're those people who are like, I could make it better at home.
Okay. Okay.
And
So are you like
we,
when you do like coffee at home, are you like the pour over or the filter or the
no,
cafeteria?
we have a little sage just over there.
Oh, the official coffee maker. Okay. I
And
like
you
it.
know, yeah.
Oh,
Although my husband's far better than I am. Cause I don't take my coffee with milk, and he's very good at latte art and stuff. So well, I can't do the milk. All I do is run the shot and have black coffee.
yeah, that'll be my vibe. That'll be my vibe. I can't do the. I appreciate the art form, but no, not very good.
I can't do it.
Okay. So another one, book or film?
I want to sound deep and intelligent because I do love reading, but realistically, film.
Okay, okay. Oh, what's your favorite film?
It used to be, it used to be American Beauty, but that has Kevin Spacey in it, so it's a bit controversial.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
That's past me. I don't know this one. So what's it
Well,
about?
um, just Google it.
Okay, okay,
Um, if it's not that, then it's probably the Baz Luhrmann Great Gatsby with
okay.
Leo DiCaprio. I could watch that movie on repeat. I love it. I
I
love
think
the book.
I think I've seen that maybe like once, maybe twice at most. But yeah, it's okay. And I have a brother-in-law that has the book. I'm not sure if he's read it, but yeah, it's might be a great book, a classic.
It is a great book, great movie, and that version of it is just so how I imagined it when I read it.
So good. And final question. Embarrassing moment. Have you got a really embarrassing moment? That is PC, Neve. That yeah.
Well, I have I have plenty of
I know
embarrassing
you've
moments.
plenty. I know you've plenty, but for the wider audience,
Um, oh, I'm just very clumsy. I drop a lot of things. I trip and I stumble over words. I am really bad as well for like revealing secrets. Like a friend who was pregnant, and it was only really David and I knew, and weren't telling people. And then I'm going around to everyone being like, "Did you hear the news?" And then when the penny drops that they haven't heard the news yet, and then I'm like, "Ooh," and then I had to make up stuff. So just generally, I'm a very, very embarrassing person.
similar story. I went away on holiday with me and Jamal went away on holiday with a group of friends, and he had told us like just before we got on the plane, he was going to propose to his girlfriend at the time, and I'm really bad at like I wouldn't just say bad at keeping secrets, but bad at acting normal when something's going on. So we went away to Amsterdam, and literally, I just couldn't focus on anything else apart from the whole thing. And I was like trying to act so normal, and the more I was acting normal, the more weird it was getting. Uh,
You're like, "Fix it now."
yeah. So, but the only grace was he was going to do it like the second day we were there. And long story short, second day came and he went away. I assumed he had asked a question and he came back and he was like,
Oh
oh God,
no.
no. And I was like really awkward. So he took like another 2 or 3 days after that to actually pop the question. And
Oh my God.
yeah, the whole holiday was just like, I couldn't focus on anything because I was scared to say anything to make things awkward. So that was my
And you don't even want to like talk to them or talk about them, or
no.
they're
No,
like,
and like honestly, the girl Chloe, she was there, and like she must have thought it was so weird with her. I just didn't like. There was just
yeah,
four of us, but I just didn't want to talk to her. So
I think you're the
uh,
rudest person ever.
yeah, so it was really awkward, really awkward. So listen, we'll jump into some questions about more about you. So tell us a bit more about you. What do you do? What are you into? What makes you tick?
So I am Neve, obviously.
Yep.
I live in Cardiff with my husband David, who's currently in bed, where he spent a lot of time.
It is
He's
half
very
seven in the morning, so we'll give him a bit of grace. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. It's a lovely Saturday, Sunday. He should be up being productive. Um, I am an apprentice solicitor. I work in a firm in town and I do family and matrimonial law, and I absolutely love it. I love my job. I am not one of those people who like on Sunday night is like, oh, I have the fear. I have the fear purely for like getting up and going, but
Okay.
I love my job. I'm very happy what I do. Um, yes, David and I live in Cardiff, just 5 minutes away from our church, which is so handy.
Mhm.
I'm from Lisburn originally, and my husband's from East Belfast, so right in between the two of us. Um, I we are both really, really big into the gym and into CrossFit. Some people say it's a cult, but they just haven't joined yet. That's what I say. But we're really, really big into it. We're very, very committed, and our gym is really close to us. So to be honest, what I do is I wake up in the morning, I go to the gym, I go to work, I come home, David and I'll walk. I'll do things at church and then I sleep and repeat it all over again. We're big into family. We spend a lot of time with our nieces and our nephews and stuff.
Love it.
So it's pretty much all there is to me. Not very interesting.
Yeah. So, what was life for you like growing up? Like, you were from Lisburn. Was it just a standard kind of childhood, or was there any key moments in it that you would talk about?
Um, the Lord really, really blessed me. I had a really fantastic childhood. Um, I'm the youngest of four siblings.
Okay.
So I have two older sisters and an older brother. Um, the Lord really, really blessed me, as I say. I had a very happy childhood. My parents are both Christians. I grew up in a Christian family. All my siblings are Christians. Um, Christ was very much at the center of our household. A few wee difficult things, but not, growing up, but nothing more than the Lord knew that we could handle. My brother is disabled, so there's always been a few difficulties with him.
Yeah.
Um, but he's so chill. He's such a great guy, and I really can't complain. We were absolutely Hallions growing up. We were going on holidays. We loved being outside. My mum was very much a nope. The TV stays off between 9 in the morning and 6 at night, so you may all go out and find something to do outside. So we were
Up from love.
outdoor, causing trouble. Yeah, the Lord was really, really good to us.
That's really good. That's really interesting. So, tell me a bit more about your brother. So, like, what's the story with?
So Calvin is 30. He has Down syndrome. Um, and to be honest, he is like the best thing in our lives. He he we he's just so chilled. He's the funniest guy. He's a real, real dry sense of humor.
Mm.
Um, and he actually loves music. That's one thing
Wow.
that my brother and I really bond over. You could like hear a random song on the radio, you'd be like, "How he sings this?" And he'll know that was One Republic in 2003. It was from their album such and such. It's just all in here. He knows everything about
That's
music.
insane.
Yeah, he loves it. He goes to him and my dad would go. They were at Rick Astley a few weeks ago. They go to every concert under the sun. He loves it like a graphic T-shirt with a band logo and stuff on it. He's great. He works in a coffee shop in Lisburn. And him and my dad are just best friends. My dad recently retired, so the two of them are just like taking over the world one day at a time, just cutting about, having the best time.
Okay. Are we going to do a shout out to the coffee shop he works in?
Well, it's coffee shop in a shop. It's Smith Patterson's in Lisburn. Go check it out.
So good.
I
There you are. You got your plug.
might also he might also do a few days a week in like the Stepping Stones cafe. I'm not sure if he
Okay.
still does.
So good.
Definitely did.
It's
But
amazing.
he's good.
I actually didn't even know you had a roller, so that's new to me. So so
Mhm.
good. Amazing. So talk me through a bit about you were kind of saying, growing up, typical kind of childhood, you were really blessed. Growing up with your brother, there was obviously some struggles there, but nothing kind of out of the ordinary. But when you got saved, it was quite a special day for you. That wasn't an ordinary kind of day. So talk me through that.
Yeah, well, I remember the specific day that I got saved. To be honest, the only reason that I remember specifically that it was Father's Day, it was I think I said the 12th of June, but I think it's actually the 21st of June, 2009, whenever I was 10.
Wow.
The only reason I remember that it was Father's Day is because in my first ever Bible that I got, I wrote in the inside cover, like, all about the day I became a Christian because I never wanted to forget it because 'cause
Yeah.
I'm super dramatic, so I wrote this, like, 3-page long, like, recap of everything that happened, but what had been happening was that I was going to my older sisters were, all Christians, and I was very, like, certain that I was going to become a Christian, but
Mm,
I hadn't become a Christian yet because I was going to a camp that summer, a summer camp up in Castle Rock.
mm.
It was called Mixed Camp Castle Rock. I don't actually know if they even do it anymore. It's a
Okay.
Scripture Union. And I was what my mum worked in the primary school that I went to, so we would walk to and from school every day. And actually, I attribute a lot of my spiritual growth and stuff to those wee walks with my mum because we would just chat, chat, chat. And I'm obviously a chatterbox, so I would be chat, 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 and asking her all the most impossible questions in the world. But one day we were walking home, and I was telling her that, "Mum, I think I'm going to go Christian at this camp this summer
Wow.
because kind of my experience up to that point had been these like big conversion stories where someone goes to a summer camp and they have like
Yeah.
an undeniable encounter with Christ, and from that moment, everything changed.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized I kind of thought in my head, like, oh, that's how you become a Christian. You go to a
Mhm.
big summer camp and you have this amazing testimony. And I was telling my mum this very sure in my head because even as a 10-year-old girl, I was like, no, no, I'm right. I am right. I was very, very sure of
Okay.
myself. So I was saying this to her, and I really, really clearly remember her saying to me, "Well, Niamh, like, that's in the summer. What happens if you step out in the road tomorrow and a car hits you and you die?" And it might sound a bit like, "Oh, relax," but I didn't have an answer to her
Wow.
because
Yeah.
I knew if I went to if I died and I wasn't a Christian and I hadn't made the commitment to follow Christ, I knew that if I died, I was going to hell.
Mhm.
And it was when she said that, it kind of hit me. I was like, "What am I waiting for?"
Wow.
So I think that must have been during the week leading up to it, and then I don't actually specifically remember what happened that Sunday, but it just must have been the Lord working in my heart in the next few days. Really, really, really. I think I didn't have a moment's peace since Mum and I had that conversation because the Lord was working on my heart. And then it just happened to be that Sunday. I was just sitting in my bedroom and I remember just being like, what am I doing? So I was sitting on the floor in my bedroom and then I just prayed the prayer and I asked the Lord to um come into my life and I asked him to forgive me for all my sins. And from that moment on, I guess I could say I was a Christian.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And do you, you kind of answered that. I was actually going to ask you, was it a sudden moment or was it a process where God was working on you? But it sounds in retrospect that there was a process to that and leading up to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. The Lord was working on my wee 10-year-old heart, even
Amazing. That's so
leading
good.
up to it.
That's so interesting. So
Yeah.
following on from that, what what do you see changing your life after that? Was it small things, small steps, or was there massive things even for a 10-year-old? Was there just a real move of God in your heart and in your life?
Yeah, well, even whenever I was 10, I didn't really do things in half measures. So I remember actually I wrote in my little the cover of my Bible, like, I am so excited to go into school tomorrow and tell people about Jesus.
That's,
And
that's
I do remember going in and like my best friend at the time who like I haven't seen since P7, but at the time I remember going in and like chatting to her about sin because she didn't come from a Christian family or anything. So I remember being there's me
you
into
went in quite heavy, like you were on fire. You were ready to go.
I came in hot being like, even one lie's enough to go for you to go to hell. She's like, okay. So I should have maybe approached that one a bit better, but I was just so
Maybe
I did
work on the approach even for a 10-year-old. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I do think I followed it up with a bit of a but I have the solution and it's Christ. I blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I was pretty
I
intense.
think even at that point, you can see almost like a prophecy fulfilled there of you going into legal and here. So here's the problem. Here's the solution. This is what we're going to do. So I can see that.
Maybe. My dad has always said that I have been destined to be a lawyer from the minute when I was born. They
It's,
never needed to think, oh, will she be a doctor?
yeah, no, I don't think I would fit your profile.
No, not I know.
No, I
I
would.
don't
I wouldn't. No.
bedside care. I'm like, it's just I'm not very
Yeah. No, I know, and obviously for the guys listening, me and you have been in like life groups or small groups in MVC, and even from how we chat about things in small groups, um, you're very fiery. You know what you believe in, and I love that. I love that about you. It's so good. But it does lend itself to what you do as a professional and career. So yeah, it's so good.
like it kind of gives me a bit of a I can maybe get away with it and be like, oh no, it's okay. I'm a solicitor. It's fine.
You can play that card, yeah. We'll give you a bit of grace for that. So what was the hardest thing? I know you were 10, but maybe this applies maybe more as you got older, and your walk with God. But what was the hardest thing to let go?
Let go. I I don't know. I think as humans in a fallen world, we are constantly being drawn to cling on to things of this world. Um, and I think it's the biggest challenge is like being okay with being very obviously not of this world. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
when you're called to be a Christian, you're obviously called to stand out and to make it clear that you're in the world and not of it. But the enemy makes, the things of this world so tempting and so enjoyable that it is hard to be disciplined enough to stand out. Like I think maybe as a teenager, some of where I would have like gone wrong in terms of my faith and witnessing and stuff like that is that I always wanted to be like, oh no, I'm a Christian, but I'm a cool Christian and I'm relatable and I can relate to you and like I'm not like an old stuffy one who's gonna be offended when you
Yeah.
say X, Y, and Z. Like, I can make the naughty joke or I can do this or do that.
Yeah.
Thinking that it would like, no, I'll show other people that Christians are just like them when the reality is we shouldn't be just like non-Christians
Mhm.
and we should look different and I should have created like an atmosphere around me that if someone said something that they would know that I as a Christian didn't agree with, they should kind of have in their head that, oh, I know you won't agree with that rather than like, oh, this is just another joke.
Yeah.
So making a making a big deal of being different
Mhm.
should have is something that certainly as a teenager in school would have struggled a bit more with.
Yeah. No, I identify with that. I think it's something that it's a constant struggle, even you know, uh, the older we get, and even just with general adult life, we have to try and be different, and in a world that is making us try to be closer to the world. I'm not sure if I'm kind of saying that in the right way, but constantly pulling us to be worldly and more
Yeah.
PC. I think that's the word that's used more often these days, to be more
Especially
PC.
like in the office and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
To be fair, I found it easier actually since I met my husband and since we've been married because you'll know my husband for people listening, he is very okay with his opinion. Imagine the two of us debating. It's
you're yeah, you're a good man.
he he is very, very he's brilliant. He knows what he believes in and he is very okay to stand up for what he believes in and he is
Yeah,
so happy to stand out.
yeah,
And being married to him, and just through like learning from him, um, it has become a bit easier to be like, I'm okay with being very different and being very obviously not okay with things of this world. So I was gonna say I have to give him credit. I have to give the Lord credit, but the Lord through him.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So good. So, Neve, what has been the toughest season in your What We Got so far?
There was a little window. I have to say, I've never had like a period where I've completely fallen away and, I wasn't acting like a Christian or anything like that. But there was a window sort of around early 2022. Well, like end of 2021, 2022. I was working in an office that it wasn't like, it wasn't a great atmosphere. And I think there was, the culture was quite different from, well, maybe what I was used to growing up and what I would have liked. And at the time, I could actually feel myself becoming like not as nice a person. And my parents now say like, yeah, you weren't you when you worked there. Um, but you know yourself, like your 9 to 5 kind of it becomes all encompassing because it's who you spend all day with. And um, so,
Consumes you
so
almost. Yeah.
pardon?
It consumes you almost, the 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, it does. It kind of becomes your whole personality. So I was kind of maybe letting little things slide, little things that I would have historically stood up against or that I wouldn't have tolerated, letting things like that slide. And then I was just, I was happy enough to do the whole like going out for work drinks after work, but and maybe not necessarily having like really, really God honoring conversations and just little things. Like I was still going to church every Sunday and I'm still like professing to be a Christian and still was a Christian. I still like was praying and reading my Bible, but there was, yeah, a bit of a window and a few things happened that were not great and they were quite intense and stuff. So it was, I did end up feeling quite broken. And I'm a big believer in like, I have complete freedom and that's part of my past. So I never really delve into like details about it because I think the enemy is very good at using your past and your guilt and stuff like that to try to re-trap you. So I'm a big believer in freedom from past sins and past things like that. But it was actually around this time of year. That's why I love this time of year. I love spring coming into summer because not only obviously the days are getting longer, but it reminds me of kind of around Easter a few years ago when I really felt the Lord. It almost felt like a sort of bigger internal conversion than when I became a Christian. And I don't know, well, that's maybe a bad thing, but it actually correlated with whenever I met David. I was like living my life. I was living on my own. I was just kind of surviving. I wasn't thriving in my faith. I was sort of in between churches. I'd started going to Breda at that point by myself. I
Started
was,
the NBC.
yes, I wasn't serving anywhere in any church. I wasn't pouring in anywhere. Um, and I wasn't really being filled up. I was just coasting and surviving. And then I met David and I plucked up the stones to join a life group in church. And like slowly but surely, the Lord started reminding me of like, you are meant to be living each day on fire for me. You are meant to be going into the world and bubbling, like exploding with excitement of the good news. And I just wasn't. I was just getting through each day, doing my job, seeing my work friends. And it was so jarring for me to like look back and be like, what am I doing? I'm wasting time. The people I'm working with don't know this amazing good news. And life is so short. You know, and I am wasting time not living my life to the fullest for Christ. And I had a few difficult conversations with my now husband, David, who I know, as I say, I know it was the Lord through him, but he was really, really instrumental in like bringing me back to my faith and reminding me of this great news that I have that should impact every aspect of my life. But I wasn't. I was keeping my Christianity in my little Sunday section, and then my 9 to 5 was completely different. Um, but a few difficult conversations and a few reality checks with me, and a few like, okay, you're right. I need to change that. I need to fix that. And since then, like it hasn't been easy. It never has. But I can honestly say, like, since that sort of March, April 2022, it, the Lord has just been so good. The Lord always was good, but I am now so much more able to let the Lord be 100% of my life rather than just my wee 1 5. And then I changed jobs and I spent some time living in Canada as well. So that was really good. It was like a bit of a change and then back to back to where I am now.
So good. So good. And I would say you would probably admit that even from that moment, well, that was a real kind of watershed moment for you. But I'm sure there's been times after that where you have still felt a struggle to be close to God.
Yes, I mean, you always feel the draw to the world. You always feel like, as I said earlier, like Satan makes the things of this world really attractive, really fun. So you do always feel the draw to it,
Yeah.
but
So what
it's
what would be even now from having those moments? and having those experience of real valley moments. You know, there's been real mountaintop moments. I mean, you've kind of chatted about that before, but in those real valley moments, what helps you stay grounded when you don't, maybe when you don't feel like God's working or God's been quiet to you, or what do you do in those moments?
I think in those moments I just have to remind myself that the Lord uses all things for his good. And if it feels like I'm in a valley, I just can't see the bigger picture.
Mm.
That I know that there is purpose in the season. And anything that the enemy means for evil, the Lord is using for good. And even if I get to the end of my life and I look back on a really difficult time, I think I have no idea why that happened. And I don't have that light bulb moment where I'm like, ah, yes, I see why the Lord, was guiding me in that direction. Even if I get the end of my life and I never know the purpose in certain difficult moments, I have the comfort of knowing that the Lord was working in it, and something came from it. Just because I don't know what it was doesn't mean that the Lord wasn't using it. It's just like reminding myself daily, like I am just a puny human, and I have no idea what the bigger picture is, but the Lord does. And honestly, that's enough for me to be like, this sucks right now, but I don't know the bigger picture, but I'm happy enough to keep chugging on because He does.
Good. I love your take on it. I love your perspective on it. It's so refreshing as well.
Well, like if you're in a valley, you can't change it. And I'm such a problem solver that I could stress myself out for days, being like, right, how can I fix this? I could do this. I could do this. This. It's actually, it is just easier to be like, yeah, the Lord's got it. And that's not to say that I will just sit by and let bad things happen and not try to solve some problems and fix some things. But if you just keep it in the back of your mind, like the Lord ultimately has a plan, it's really relieving. It's like it lifts a lot of burden off you.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of reminds me of um, our league pastor, Pablo. He said a really cool point a couple of weeks ago. He said you can either, in those valley moments, you can either choose to wallow in it or worship your way through it. And I think you would kind of be a testament to that. That there's real valley moments. That not being a Christian isn't these mountaintop moments where everything is awesome and everything is perfect. And there's real hard moments. There's real. Brandon Lake has a song called "The Hard Hallelujah." I think
Uh,
that song is such a good song.
yeah,
No, I
so
haven't heard
good.
that.
Heart
It's
for
going to be on my
Hallelujah.
Spotify playlist now.
So good.
I'll check it out anyway. But yeah, he talks about a real hard fought hallelujah, and that isn't just for non-Christians. Think it doesn't once you become a Christian and everything's sound, everything's easy. It's really not. If not, it's harder. Um, so yeah, so that kind of segues us into a really cool topic I want to chat to you about, and probably the second part to this whole podcast is worship. So
Mm.
bringing us back up to where we are now. I know me and you have actually done quite a few worship nights. The latest one we done was the Yahweh worship night. And we had about 300 plus people that came just from different backgrounds, different churches, different ages, different demographics. Um, and it was such an incredible night. But that brings us up to talk me through leading worship in NBC.
But I love leading worship with NBC. It's like it's one of my favorite ways to serve. We would also do the coffee shop, but definitely worship is my favorite form of serving. I'm like always singing, like around the house. I'm constantly singing. I've always got a song in my head. I'm singing when I'm driving. I'm singing when I'm like running. I'm lying in bed and at night now I'm being like. So getting to sing and worship at the same time, brilliant. I love it. And the standard in NBC is like so high. The Lord has really, really blessed us as a church with a lot of really, really talented people, yourself included.
Very much. Thank you. Thank you. It's no, it's fun and it's awesome to do life with people who not only they don't just show up just to play an instrument or to sing a song, but they have a real heart for worship, and it's I think that's what I kind of see in you as well when we were doing these worship nights, and I see you had a real hunger for worship. It wasn't just a tick box. Yeah, do you want me to sing? Sure, I'll be there. There was a real fire in you to lead God's people into His presence. So it's been fun. So, I mean, you maybe already answered it, but do you find worship easy or difficult, or is there seasons where
Um,
you find it difficult and easy?
well, yeah, it depends. It depends where I'm doing it, who I'm doing it with, etc. I feel like musically, I feel quite out of my depth sometimes because like I played violin to grade 5, and
Oh
I
wow,
have my music there. Well, no, here I mean I just about managed to get it, and then sport kind of took over, and I'd far rather have played sport. But like musically, sometimes like people will be talking to me and like, "Oh, do you want this? The one over the two and the three and the four?" And I'm like, "Huh?" I I I feel like being a singer is just so much easier because you just turn up and sing. You don't need to worry about chords, and you don't need to worry about I don't know, all that kind of stuff. I have a basic enough understanding of music theory, and I can sight read basically enough. But the hardest part I find is like whenever everyone's all chatting music chat, and I have to just be like, sure, I don't know. So what key do you want it in? I don't know. I'll give it a whirl and see how it feels. So I do sometimes feel a bit like technically out of my depth, but whenever the song gets going and I close my eyes and then I forget that I'm actually singing and then I open them and I'm like, oh flip, there's a bunch of people here. Whoop.
it's really funny because I know the times with me you were kind of like prepping for worship nights, and we were kind of going through chord progressions. I was like, here, do you want to lift that a key, or do you want to finish on the fourth, or do you want to redo the bridge or something like that? You're like, yeah, sounds good. I thought you were really easy going, but maybe it was just like, yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
music theory
a
goes.
mix between actually being easygoing and being like, yes, yeah, it sounds good, and then also being like, what else am I going to say? And as I try to explain something, I'll be like, no, you know the doot 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 doot
Yeah,
rather than the doot doot doot.
that's a
Like,
universal language of most musicians. Like, do. Yeah, I know what you mean. So,
yeah,
yeah. Uh,
yeah. I find that part difficult in terms of like like spiritually. I think I personally feel closest to the Lord whenever I am worshiping, and it's a big sweaty worship session. And you're warm, and you can feel the heat, and you don't know if it's the heat from like being warm and singing, or if it's like the Holy Spirit kind of heat. And you're just
good.
so,
Yeah,
and you're not even aware of the crowd because you're just like screaming your heart out for the Lord.
yeah.
That's like the mountaintop of worship for me.
Love that. That's so good. That's so good.
Mm.
So, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you this question, and then I have another question I wasn't planning to ask you. But I'll explain more about that in a minute. But has there been a moment in worship that's really impacted you? Has there been a real watershed or a real breakdown moment in worship where you could point back to and say, yeah, I met with God in that moment?
Yeah, I don't know if you know about the hall up in Loch Brooklands,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
yeah, so I would sing up there quite a lot with Joel. He would do a lot of the keys and stuff. And the first time he asked me to sing at it, like I'm quite type A, isn't type A the like organized type?
yeah.
So I wanted to have like the list of songs before we went. You know, this is like the old me. I'm very, very different now, but I wanted the list of songs and I wanted to know so I could go home and like practice them and practice my harmonies. And I turned up and Joel was kind of just like tinkling through songs. And anyone who knows Joel Linus will know that he's very loosey goosey.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's as the spirit leads. And I remember, going, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I'm not going to do.
I don't think Joel's ever had a set list ever in any worship.
He types things out in his phone, and then like he'll be all ready and set to do your song, and then the spirit will just lead him in another direction. And initially, I was like, "What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I don't know how to do anything. I'm not gonna be able to follow. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
disaster." And I really clearly remember that first night singing up at the hall, being so like, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to ruin this. Everyone's gonna hate me. It's gonna be terrible. Me, all about me." And then as the night progressed, that was probably the first time that I have gone from singing at the front of church to just worshipping.
Mm.
and just the transition between leading worship in a, like, I'm just singing the song just so you all know what we're singing and you just do what I do, to like worshiping and creating an atmosphere of worship. That first night singing at Taste and See, shout out, um, like, was the watershed moment, because I was able to really just give in and be like, literally, no one cares if I miss the intro. No one cares if I have a few dodgy notes. It's not about that. And if you're there for perfect harmonies and everything to be brushed, then you're in the wrong place, because it's not about that. It's a really, really just a place to worship. And from sort of singing up there and singing with you at the blueprints things, it gives you, the more you do it, the more comfortable obviously you feel doing it. But now when I'm worshiping, I am so much more comfortable with just like surrendering it and just actually having a moment of worship. And maybe this sounds selfish, but even if I know when you're leading worship, you need to like lead the congregation. It obviously depends on the event that you're doing as to how
Yeah.
much you lead and how much you just worship. But I love being able to just feel like I can go up now and just worship myself, and hope and pray that through worshiping, other people are led into a place of worship.
Yeah, definitely. I think kind of what you're talking about there is your posture of worship. You move from a posture of worship of, okay, I'm here physically. There's a practical side of it where, okay, I'm leading the congregation, I'm leading God's people, I'm leading the song. I know where I have to come in for my intros, my harmonies, my transitions, my keys. Um, but God kind of maybe turned that on its head and was like, no, no, it's more than just horizontal. There's a vertical side of it where there's a spirituality with it, where you're meeting with me as much as you're leading God's people. You're meeting with me primarily. So it's so good. So here's the question. Here's the hard question. I'm warning you, it is a hard question because I came across it this week. On Maria Gilpin. Maria Gilpin is a local worship leader here in Northern Ireland, and she posted on her socials this question, and it hit me, and I'm being really vulnerable. It stung me. It kind of wounded me a bit. And her question was, if God asked you to step down from leading worship forever, how would you feel? Um, yeah, gutsy. Um, and for me, like I find that, you know, really hard to wrestle with. She said, would you be relieved or would you be gutted? Would you be feel like you've lost your identity almost? And I know for me, worship has been such a part of my life where if God said, listen, you know, I want you to leave, sacrifice this and leave it down, before me, there's other people now. Um, I know for me, I would feel I've lost part of me. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. So I just was interested to hear your thoughts on it.
I think if it was a like, I want you to step down because there's other people that I'm raising up to go into that spot,
Yeah.
I would completely vulnerably and completely honestly, I would struggle to be like, so they're better than me, are they? Right, okay, well, whatever. So they're better than me. I'm rubbish. And I would have to just suck it up and be like, doesn't mean that at all. It just means that God wants that person to take that place because he doesn't want me there anymore.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean anything. And even if it does mean that they're better than me, who cares? It's not about me. I would really have to check myself and be like, it's not about you. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about who God wants where for a certain time. And then I would have to just accept that that's what God wants. And I would struggle with it because I love worship and I love singing. I would definitely fight it. I would definitely be like, no, 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 that's not what the Lord's saying. No, no, you got that wrong. He does want me to stay, so I'll stay for a wee bit, and then obviously when it comes to the point where you feel it, you feel the niggle where you're like, I
Yeah.
know the Lord, step down. It would be difficult. It
Yeah.
really would be difficult.
It's hard, right? And funny enough, I was scrolling through my Facebook feed yesterday. I was coming home from work, and I came across this video, and Americans, sometimes it can be a wee bit out there, especially for us Northern Ireland people. But the girl actually said in her video, and I was straight after reading this post about Maria Gilpin, and she said that when you read through Scripture, um, when the Lord speaks or God speaks, demons do exactly what God says. If God says leave, they do it. Um, but yet when God asks us to do something, we question it. And I was like, whoa. So like we sometimes we don't even do what the demons even fear to do. And I was like, there's so many times when God has asked me to do something, and I'm kind of like, I don't know, God, or was that really for me, or were you talking to someone behind me, or we're just
I'm thinking it's all the time.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah. You're constantly questioning. And I'm like, but when the demons hear God's voice,
no.
they do exactly what God says, and that struck me, and especially hearing that quote from Maria, I was like, whoa, this is went to a whole new level. So
That one stings, doesn't it, actually?
it
That's
does
so
sting. It's something to think about,
yeah.
and especially for people listening. If you're involved in worship, or even just like not even worship, but if you're part of any type of ministry, if God asks you to drop it, would you do it, or would you do it in a very surrendering way? I know we're called to, but I would, as you said, I would fight it. So yeah. So rounding it up, if you could sum up your testimony in one sentence, what would it be?
I'm trying to think of something intelligent to say, but the phrase that just keeps coming to my head must be the Lord. Is like the Lord saw me and he came for me and he scooped me up and he said, "I've got this." Not like you don't need to worry about this anymore. I've got you. I'll carry you through. And that's the things you keep coming to my mind right now. I've never ever thought that once in my life before this moment, but that's all I can think of. So it must be from the Lord.
No, that's beautiful, Nate. And final question: if there is one song, one worship song you could listen to forever, um, what would it be?
Can't pick one.
Gonna put you on the spot. One song.
Probably Yet Not I, but Through Christ in Me.
So good. Why?
The words are incredible.
Mm.
They're so poetically, they're so rich, but also like if you listen to them and listen to the meaning, they're so good. They're really, really strong and convicting. And I have to, because I'm, Mrs. Independent, blah, blah, blah. It is good for me to constantly remind myself that it's not me. It's not about me. It's not me doing anything. It's Christ through me.
It's beautiful, Nate. Nate, listen, it's been a joy to chat to you. You've been so easy to chat to about your walk with God, chatting about worship. Yeah, it's just been fun. It's been so easy. So listen, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and chatting.
Right? You're having me?
Awesome. Cheers, Nate.